All right, today we're going to learn about arithmetic sequence. So before we start, the definition of a sequence is a list of numbers that forms a pattern. So we're going to look for a pattern. And the term is each number in a sequence. So they may be referring to something called the nth term. And the nth term means n can be any number. So nth could be 100, 57, nth term. Arithmetic sequence is when the difference between the numbers in the sequence is constant, which means it's the same. So, here's a sequence for you. The sequence, it said, was a list of numbers that form a pattern. Each of the numbers in the sequence is called a term. The 8's called the first term, the 14's called the second term, the 20's called the third term, and so on. You want to look for the common difference. So, you say to yourself, what do I do to 8 to get to 14? I add 6. And then 14 to 20, I add 6. From 20 to 26, I add 6. From 26 to 32, I add 6. Because it has a common difference that is constant, you say this is an arithmetic sequence. Now, some people think if it says 8, 14, 21, 29, 38, that this is an arithmetic sequence. Well, this is add 6, add 7, add 8, add 9, and it follows a pattern. However, it's not arithmetic sequence because the common difference is not constant. So this is not arithmetic because the common difference is not constant. So this is not arithmetic. So I hope you understand the difference between the two. Okay? So, number 1 and 2 says find the common difference. So you could pause the video and then you could tell me what the answers are by pushing play. But I'm going to go now. The common difference here is adding 8. And on number 2, when you look at this pattern, the common difference here is subtracting 3. Okay? Common difference, like so. Then you have to be able to use the sequence to write a rule. And when you write a rule, you're finding the nth term. So, I have these little tables down here because in that sequence above, the first term is 6. The second term is 14. The third term is 22. The fourth term is 30. The last term is, fifth term is 38. Well, when you find the common difference is really slope. So remember, common difference is really slope. So when you write a rule, you're writing it really in y equals mx plus b. Slightly different, so stay with me. So on the left here was our sequence. We know the common difference was 8, which is the slope. These now represent a bunch of ordered pairs, so I can pick the ordered pair 1, 6. Now again, where did I get this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? This was the first term, second term, third term, fourth, and fifth. And if you put this in point slope form, y minus 6 equals 8. x minus 1. We can get this in slope-intercept form by distributing on the right and adding 6 to both sides. Y equals 8x minus 2. However, they do not want this in slope-intercept form. They want a rule, and the rule is actually an expression. So to get your expression, we got this equation, y equals 8x minus 2. We're going to get rid of the y equals, and we're going to change x to n. Because remember, n represents the term. So this is like the term, and those are the answers. So 8n minus 2 is the rule, or the expression that I'm asking you to find. There is a shortcut to finding out that this is negative 2. See if you can think of what it would be. And when you come back to class, if you haven't figured it out, I'll help you. That's the rule. So, keeping that in mind, let's go over to the right. We found on number 2 that negative 3 was the common difference. So, and you don't have to make a chart like this. This is just so you understand what I'm doing. This is the first term, second, third, fourth, and fifth term. The common difference, or the slope, was subtracting 3. You can pick any one you want here. I always just pick the first term was 4. This is y minus 4 equals negative 3 times x minus 1. And remember, you could have always paused the video, tried it, and then checked your answer out. You distribute on the right. We add 4 to both sides. And you get y equals negative 3x plus 7. But remember, they want a rule, so you get rid of y equals, because it's an expression, and you change your x to n. So this rule is negative 3n plus 7. Again, there's a shortcut to figure out what the y-intercept would be. If you don't figure it out on your own, you can ask me the next time I see you. The last thing is on the left side, I want you to use the rule, and this is the rule, to find the 100th term. So when it says 100th term, that means n is 100. So you do 8 times 100 minus 2, which is 798. Same thing with this rule over here. If you want the 100th term, you say n is 100, and you sub it in. You get 3 times 100 plus 7, negative 293. Is the 100. All right. Now on the back, there is one more problem. Once this turns, there we go. It says there are 20 seats in the first row of a balcony of an auditorium. There are 22 seats in the second row, 24 seats in the third row. So, 20 is the first row, 22 is the second row, 24 is the next row, and it probably should have said, keep that pattern up to write the first 5 rows. 26, 28. So if you want to add here, the pattern continues to increase by 2. So there's the first 5 rows. It says write a rule for the nth row. So you want to know the common difference, which is your slope, which is 2. And you want an ordered pair, so the first term is 20. Slide down the screen. So y minus 20, and by the way, if you know the shortcut by now, you don't have to do this long formula. Y minus 20 is 2x minus 2. Add 20 to both sides. You get y equals 2x plus 18. However, Remember, the rule does not want y equals n and x. We want 2n plus 18. Now, because this is a word problem, I'm going to add some things to this. N represents the row of seats. That's the seat row. The result is the number of seats. So once you know the row, you can find the number of seats, or if you know the number of seats, you can find the row. So, keeping that in mind, the question says, 36 students want to sit in the same row. What row must they sit in? Use your rule, show your work. Well, this 36 students means you need 36 seats, which is the result, which means you have to take your rule and set it equal to the result of seats. And then you solve it. 2n is 18. You divide by 2. You get n equals 9. So that's the 9th row. Okay? And then the last question here says, how many seats are in the 15th row? And that represents n, the number of row. So to use your rule and show your work, you would substitute this 15 back in for n, and that's 30 plus 18, which would be 48 seats. And that's arithmetic sequence. If you have any questions, let me know. Send me an email.